I'm from Tyler, over in East Texas, and my dad was division engineer of the Cotton Belt Railroad, and so he was among the two civil engineers in Tyler in the 20s, but by 1943 or 44, when I was in high school, there were several. I worked while I was in Austin. And
who did you work for?
I worked for the Board of Control. At that time, they controlled all the Elam Austinary institutions. And I worked for the, not number 1, but number 2. Second registered engineer in the state. Number 1 was T.U. Taylor. Yeah. But number 2 was a guy named Hood Pitts. Hood Pitts was the chief engineer of the Board of Control, and I was his draftsman. He referred to me as his eyes as we would go out and visit the penitentiaries and the various insane asylums and the like. But while I was in Austin, in civil engineering school, probably the most exciting thing that happened, I was program chairman. I was the vice president of the student chapter of ASCE. And we decided to have a contractor come speak to us. And the local contractor turned us down. He was too busy. So the theory was to go bigger if we got turned down. And so the committee decided we'd go up higher. So I called Herman Brown of Brown and Root, who was building a generating station for the Austin Power Company, a big construction project. And I asked Mr. Brown if he'd come speak to the civil engineers in Dallas, or in ASCE at the University of Texas. And he agreed. There's a family of Nalls in Austin that have an E on the end of their name, N-A-L-L-E, and he knew them, and he thought maybe that's who it was calling him. So he accepted, but I got to introduce him, and I got to pick him up at the hotel and bring him out. And every professor we had in the civil engineering department showed up for that student chapter meeting.
Wow. When
we had Herman Brown speak, and I can tell you, his topic was how we have a tendency to pull something off the shelf and we over-design. I got a job with Phillips Petroleum Company while I was still in school. I was a graduating senior, and their interview team selected me, and I got to go to work for Phillips in Bartlesville, Oklahoma.
Wow.
And it was a great experience. I stayed with Phillips 7 years. It was a great company to work for because they were very professional, supported the society, professional society, to the hilt, civil engineer. So I had a variety of things to do at McGregor.
Oh, yeah.
I had, besides supports and foundations and things like that, I had the roadway with the City of Dallas 12 years.
12 years.
So I had, that was my 7 years in industry, 12 years in municipal government. In 1962, I became the supervisor of utilities. But the boss retired and had been at the job for a number of years. J.W. Monk was declared the most honest man in city government, and I thought, boy, he's a great guy to follow with such a reputation.
In your
on the Texas section level,
service to the Texas section, when did you start?
The Texas section level in 1972, I was chairman of the committee that involved in politics, and I forgot what we called it.
Professional affairs or government relations.
Government relations at the time. And we were doing some work on the plant for Texas Power and Light, and having come out of city government where we were not involved in partisan politics, tried to stay away from anything partisan. And in '72, all of us voted Democratic because the county judges, everybody in the Dallas County was a Democrat at that time. So I asked one of the vice presidents at Texas Power and Light, who we were doing some work for, I said, how do you get started in state politics? And he said, well, find out who a good candidate is for lieutenant governor and go latch on to him. And that's about how he said it. Well, there I was, the chairman of the Texas sections, Texas section, public relations, needing to know something about politics. And I talked to another civil engineer in the graduating class of 51 who was active in local politics, if he knew anybody running for governor. And there were 4 people running for governor, Doc Briscoe being one of them.
Wow.
And I thought, well, he's a good guy. I like him morally. So can you introduce me to Doc Briscoe? And he said, well, yes, I can. So he got Doc Briscoe's Dallas chairman, who was Roy Coffey, later became the mayor of University Park and a lawyer, to invite me to meet Doc Briscoe. And so I met with Doc Briscoe at the Hilton Hotel in downtown Dallas and told him that here I was, chairman of this committee of civil engineers, and I was wanting to support him, and I wanted to know how I could come about doing that. He said, the first thing I need you to do is write me a position paper, or white paper is what it's called, on public transportation. Well, I had left city government where we regulated the Dallas transit system and then brought transit system right on into the municipal government, and I had gone through that era of regulating the transit system and then purchasing the transit system for the city, having to put a value on the buses that were worn out.
Yeah.
But that was my assignment. So I wrote him a transition paper, or a white paper.
White paper.
And Doc Briscoe was a rancher, a real rural kind of candidate, and was not really thought of as an urban representative. But I was the guy who wrote his position paper on transportation.
Huh.
And I honed it down to one page to get him to read it, and they bought it. The next move, they decided to change his whole organization up and develop 5 regions of which to support his candidacy. And along with Willie Cothram, I became the region director for Doc Briscoe, just to fulfill that job of trying to get involved in state politics for ASCE.
During your year as president of the Texas section, did you make an effort to try and get out and visit the branches?
Yes, we did. We did, or I did. I remember speaking in Corpus, remember speaking in Austin. And generally the theme I would use in my talks was ethics. I was coming from, at that time, as a consultant. The advantage I had is I followed
John Folk.
No, I followed Kishner and A.C. Burkhalter.
Oh, okay.
And if you can imagine 2 more thorough individuals in our profession, it's Dick Kishner, and A.C. Burkhalter, and they greased the path. And it made it real easy for me. A.C. Burkhalter was the one who established the training program on the Texas section level for the officers, and we followed through with that. So if I had a mentor, it'd be Carl, and Carl is very ethical, and so is Lou Ellen. 2 of the probably Dallas's most, not only smart minds, but they were just great people.
Yeah. Carl
Shimmick and Lou Ellen Powell were the 2 advisors that I went to. Carl encouraged me. He wanted me to come to work for them.
Wow.
But I felt like the reason I couldn't is that my type of work was going to cause me to be testifying a lot. And to work for another larger engineering firm, you had to have a committee decide what you were going to say in a public meeting, and I had to be able to freely operate. So I couldn't quite make it gel, or I would have probably been with that big. We used to refer to Carl's firm as "We the People" because it had so many in the firm. Out here where I live, we make a mini bio, and we deliver that mini bio. We tell the rest of the members out here, men. We have a men's breakfast every Thursday morning.
Okay.
And in that mini bio, I summed it up with my own personal philosophy. You know, I talk pretty slow. And my philosophy is that calm and steady intensity counts for progress. And I wrote that in my calculus book. I think it was differential equations. But I remembered it, and there are times, you know, we get frustrated with a lot of things happening all at once. We got a lot of balls in the air, and we have to tell ourselves, take it easy, be calm, but don't forget what you're focused on, and you'll progress. And I think it's been my philosophy.